Mozambique's President Filipe Nyusi says that the country's army has foiled an attempted attack by militants in the northern town of Palma. Palma is near a major gas project which is run by the French energy giant Total. In March, hundreds of militants stormed the town in an attack that left dozens dead. Nyusi says that the weekend's incident saw militants attempt to invade the village of Lumbi in Palma district. He added that the militants killed 5 of their own who had attempted to defect.
6 weeks after it was raided by insurgents in the northern Mozambican town of Palma, residents remain deeply traumatized and hundreds flee each day. The insurgents swamped on the coastal town on March 24, killing dozens of people and triggering an exodus that included workers on the multi-billion-dollar natural gas project. The raids mark a major intensification in an insurgency that has caused chaos and destruction across Cabo Delgado province for over 3 years. The violence pushed France Total to suspend work on a nearby LNG scheme, one of Africa's largest. The death included several expatriate oil workers. After days of fighting, the government said its forces had driven out extremists and that calm had returned. But many people still feel unsafe and are leaving the area. According to police, a resident who returned to his home 2 weeks ago was found beheaded. Mozambique received $100 million World Bank grants last week for infrastructural projects. And President Filipe Nyusi vowed to return the region to normality and end terror attacks.
Well, for some analysis, we're now joined by Willem Els, who's a senior training coordinator at the Institute for Security Studies. He joins us via Zoom. Willem, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, so the president said there was a foiled attack. How much do we know about this, or are we just taking him at his word?
Yes, Peter, as you know, the area of Cabo Delgado that is under siege at the moment, there is a ban on journalists to move freely and also on researchers. So there's not a lot of information that is coming out of there, but there is some information coming out, and that has been verified by some other sources that we got hold of. So yes, they did foil the attack. We must just understand that the town of Palma is a big town, and then it's got various villages surrounding it. It's quite a big area. And the resources on the ground of the military of the Mozambican forces, they are just not adequately equipped and enough people to really control the whole area effectively. They can do patrols and they can man some of the areas, but they cannot just plug all the holes that are there. And also what you said is that he indicated that 5 of the deserters that actually have been insurgents, and then they decided to desert. They were actually followed and they were killed by the terrorists, just indicating the ruthlessness of these people in pursuing their own if they turn against them.
So does this add credence to reports that people are being press-ganged to join these militants, and once you're in, there's no leaving?
Yeah, it is all the indications that we also see in some of the research papers that came out and some of the people that actually left. There was one very important paper that came out where they interviewed some women that actually managed to escape. And they verified that these people some of them are joining freely, and others of them are actually forced to join, especially young children. That is very troublesome, that we see that they abduct them along with the young girls, and then the boys are being trained, and when they're about 13, 14 years old, they are actually sent into battle.
The fact that they are attacking the same town literally a few months after the attack that garnered so much attention, does that mean that they're not fearful of getting caught and getting killed? Or as you've described, they know the military's capability, the Mozambican military's capability?
Yeah, Peter, the indications are that these people, apart from that, they're very well trained and organized. They also got a very good intelligence capacity. So they really know what is going on. They know the strengths of the military and the police, and then they also know their weaknesses, and they pound on that. We also see that in the areas that have been, if you can call it the liberated areas where they have control, where they've got their camps as well as in the city or the town of Mozambique, the Praia, they got free rein to move around and to plan, and also they move as far as Moeda in the west as well. We saw that over the weekend there were actually 2 attacks on a town near Moeda, and they were actually repelled by the self-defense units that were actually established there. So we see that these people, after the month of Ramadan, have really came out. They used the month to rest. They used the month to prepare and to plan and to train. And it seems that there is some much more activity after this month, and that they are moving forward. And where they ended up after the attack on Palma.
I see that South Africa is pushing SADC to render some military assistance to Mozambique. This foiled attempt, was the Mozambican military acting alone? They were able to do this alone, or is there anybody on the ground that's helping the Mozambican authorities?
Currently, according to our information, there are some foreign troops on the ground, mainly some Zimbabweans, but according to our information, they are more in the west towards the Moeda area. So these guys have acted alone, according to our information. But if you also listen to the opening address of President Nyusi yesterday, when he actually admitted that terrorism is actually universal and every country is open to it, but also one very important thing that he admitted is that no country can actually fight it alone, and that they need their neighbors and they need the international community to assist them, as we have said many times in the past.
If there is a push by SADC to intervene, and I think we've discussed this before, can this insurgency be managed?
I think so. But what we must just understand is, if it's a purely military approach and a high-handed military approach, we might end up like with all of the other insurgencies on the continent that actually continued, like we see in Nigeria at the moment as well, and in Somalia. We need a holistic approach. We need an approach where they are looking at addressing the grievances of the people, because some of the people are there because they are forced. Other people are also there because they are angry, and they have to understand why these people are angry and address those anger. We understand that the grievances of these people are basically bad and poor governance driven. And if they can up their governance, if they can turn that governance around into good governance, like is being promoted, and bring in the people, and also win back the hearts and the minds of the people, there is a real possibility that they can turn the ship around, but it will take time.
Is there a danger at the moment that this could spill over into neighboring states, or does it remain isolated until provoked?
We saw in the past there were 3 to 4 attacks already on the Tanzanian side of the border. So the chances are good that it can spill over even further into Tanzania, mainly because you've got a huge, if you look at the ethnic configuration of the people, some of the people are divided just by a river, and they've got families on the other side as well. They've got friends on the other side. They communicate, they trade. The river or the border between Tanzania and Mozambique is an international border, but for them it's just a river to cross. So it can easily go into Tanzania. And also, as President Nyusi said, that every country is susceptible to terrorism if the conditions are there. And we have to look at those conditions that are conducive to these people to thrive, and we have to work against that.
Speaking about conditions on the ground and perhaps contributing factors to insurgency such as this, Is it more than just unemployment, economic challenges? Because sometimes there is a religious enthusiasm looking towards things like Sharia law. Is that part of this mix in Cabo Delgado?
Yes, Peter, most definitely so. You know, what started off and the dissent was because the people were neglected, because of unemployment, because they felt left behind, they felt deserted by their government. Then also corruption played a major role, the corruption of the government and the local government especially. And then these the people also, of course, the young people went overseas. So they studied. They came back, and they came back with radicalized doctrines, and they radicalized the young people. And so there is definitely a religious flavor to it as well. But that is not the complete picture. The complete picture is, I think, it's a combination of poor and bad governance from the start, where the state failed to deliver the political goods, but also what we noticed in the aftermath of 2009 and 2010, when in 2009 they discovered major ruby deposits, and in the area, as well as the major gas, liquid natural gas deposits that were discovered, and the poor governance of these resources by Maputo actually alienated the people further. So that's a contributing factor to all the others that we already mentioned. So I think at the end of the day, if the government in Maputo can get their act together on good governance, then most of these other challenges will disappear. The religious challenges can be addressed by the moderate people also moving in and countering the radical rhetoric. So that should not be a problem. It's been effectively dealt with in countries like in West Africa, in Senegal. So it is not something that is unattainable. But like I said in the beginning, you know, we have to look at holistically at this thing. We have to assist the government of Mozambique, but there also need to be the political will from their side to address all these challenges.
And without an intervention, can we safely assume that there will be an escalation? Because that's been the pattern since 2017, really, and that as they get better equipped, better trained, they'll become an increasing problem.
Yeah, every day, Peter, you are so right. Every day that they are left to do their own thing, and when they feel that they are on top, and they basically humiliate the police and the military forces in Cabo Delgado, they become stronger, and they gain more recruits. They get international recruits. We see that the recruits are coming from as far as the Middle East, and there were even some rumors of countries as far as Chechnya, where there are people fighting with them. We also see that their training, the way that they manage themselves, the way that they plan, the weaponry that they are using is increasingly more sophisticated. Yeah, the longer we let it go, the stronger they will become.
We've talked about SADC. Does the African Union have a role to play here?
Yes, you know, the African Union prefers to use the regional organs to sort out these type of challenges. So they will traditionally they will push in SADC, and they will guide SADC in order to address most of the challenges. Even though there are in some incidents where they are not happy with how the way that the regional organs deal with it, they might send a delegation of their own to try to solve the situation. But we see that as a rule, they normally go through and work through the regional organs, like SADC.
Willem, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you very much indeed. Your insights always greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much, Peter.
All right, that's Willem Els, Senior Training Coordinator at the Institute for Security Studies, giving us an analysis of the latest foiled attempt by the insurgents in northern Mozambique, Cabo Delgado. The president of Mozambique saying that their attempt on Palma was pushed back, but we wait to see how the region will respond. South Africa's pushing for assistance to be given to Mozambique.